Um, let's see here. Okay, go ahead and go.
I'd like to share our life story. This is Karen and Marvin Johnson, and share the story of how we met. Marvin and I met in February 10th, 1968. We met on a train going over to Kashmir, Washington. It was a snow excursion. I didn't want to go, but my folks encouraged me to go because they said, well, you may meet somebody. Well, that was true because I got on the train and we were going through the longest tunnel in the Western Hemisphere, going over Stevens Pass. I got up to go to the canteen car to get myself a candy bar, and guess who I saw there? Was this guy right here, the love of my life. And my heart actually skipped a beat when I laid eyes on him. I was 18 years old and he was 23. And he was in the canteen car with another friend, Richard Larson. Anyway, I said to him, isn't the fumes terrible in this train? And that's all I said to him. Then I went back and sat down with my folks. And I actually didn't meet Marv until we got to the town of Kashmir. I was walking around with my mom, and my mom spotted Marvin with his movie camera, and she started talking to him. And then he asked me, he kept looking at me, and I was looking at him and thinking, he's a pretty cool guy. And then he asked me, would you like to go and get something to drink at one of the cafes? And I said, well, yeah, I'll go with you. And my mom said, yeah, go. So anyway, we went over to a cafe and we were sitting there, and I had a pop with him. And then he asked me, are you a bowler? And I didn't tell the truth. I said, yes, I bowl. And he said, well, what? He was all excited when he heard that, and he said, well, what's your average? And I was thinking, an average? What in the world is that? Then I heard 280 was really good. I heard that on TV, and I thought, 280. And he said, you're a 280? And I said, yes. And he says, oh my land. He says, how would you like to go to my moonlight bowling tonight? I'm on a league. And I thought, well, I could go and watch him. But I knew that I wasn't telling the truth, that I wasn't a bowler. So when we got back to Seattle that evening, I went with Marvin to his league on moonlight bowling, and they were down, how many players, honey?
Two.
They were down 2 players, and he volunteered me, which I knew I was in deep trouble right then and there. I knew I was in trouble. I didn't tell the truth. And they announced it over the loudspeaker that this gal was there that bowled a 280 average, and oh my goodness, I knew I was going to be caught in a big fib. My face even turned red. Well, needless to say, I didn't have a very good night bowling. It was gutter ball, gutter ball. And what do you think my average was?
I don't know.
Well, put it this way, Marv was not happy. He was very upset, took me right home, and I didn't hear from him for 4 days. And I thought, okay, I've blown this. Well, 4 days later, there was a knock on my folks' back door. And there stood Marvin with a box of chocolates in a heart shape, because it was Valentine's Day, and 1 rose. And that was the beginning of our meeting, or our courting each other. And as of today, which is August 21st, 2013, we've been married over 44 years. Very happily married for 44 years. And we have raised our 2 sons, Jay and Jeremy, and we're grandparents to a little grandson Riker, who we absolutely adore, and we have a wonderful daughter-in-law, Kelly. And we've been living on our 5 acres since 1971, and we actually even worked at the post office together. Now you start talking and you tell a story.
Oh no, I was born June 12th, 1944 in Washburn, North Dakota. Well, actually it was Underwood where I was born at, but we was raised out on the farm 10 miles northwest of Washburn, and went to Washburn School and graduated, and then went into the Navy in October 21st of 1963. Got out October 11th, 1963, and spent time on a Navy ship in Vietnam. Got out, got into the reserves. I was a boatswain mate in the regular Navy. Got out, got into reserves later down in time, and was in the Seabees, postal clerk. I don't know how many years that was, 12 years I think it was. And but we got, I don't know if Karen told you, we got married in June 28th, 69, and on her birthday. But we got married, and I was working for Boeing's, got laid off and bounced around, went back to North Dakota and lived for a while, and came back out here, and finally got in with the post office. And I can't remember what year that was. Had to be 76, yeah, it had to be 70, 71.
Yeah, 71.
71, because we moved over here in the fall. And Karen came into the post office 77.
November
But-
22nd, 1977.
Yeah. But anyway, we enjoyed our, kind of homesteaded this. This was the property we live on was Karen's aunt Dorothy, her aunt, what was her name?
Hattie
Hattie.
and Holly Wyatt.
Yeah, but it was through marriage. And so, and then back, my folks were Florence and Lonnie Johnson. My mother, her maiden name was Danielson, Florence Danielson. Little Florence Lorraine Danielson, I believe. Was it Lorraine? Yeah. And she was from Minokan, North Dakota, and Dad was from Washburn. And he worked in a coal mine, shaft coal mine, then he went to farming. They got married in 1938, June 26th. And Dad's birthday was June 29th. He's born 1911. Mom's birthday was May 19th, 1917. And I had one brother, Lonnie Leroy Johnson, back in North Dakota. He had 5 kids. Karen has one brother, John. They have one boy, Cliff, named after their dad. And so no, we enjoy it here. We bought this property from her aunt Dorothy Gustafson and Arnie, in, well, we spoke for it in 1970. We actually signed the papers in 71, and it was all woods. We cleared and camped on it in a tent while we was working on it, and we put a single wide mobile home on here first. Arnie and Dorothy helped us out there to get it on, and and as as time went on, 74. We put this mobile home on in 71, the old first one, the single wide. Then we went to this one in 74. And actually it's a 74 model, and we put it on in 75, just before Jeremy was born in 76. We cleared a lot of trees and bought the property to the south of us here, another 2.5 acres. In 79, the year my dad died. My mother died in 1992, and Karen's dad died 2 weeks later, in 1992. And so it's just a little. We love it here. We got all kinds of apple trees and fruit trees and
In a garden.
in the garden. Jay, we've taken over the garden. We let him do. He does all the tilling and the planting. And this year, 2013, I'm officially been completely retired now for a year. I retired from the post office November 4th of 2006. I went to work for Walmart and Paulsville the following year, January 16th, 2007, and worked there till
May 4th,
May 4th of
2012.
2012. Yeah, my brother died in May 8th, 2012. And then actually, yeah, I've been retired a year and a few months now, officially, so I could help out with the watering in the garden and weeding. And
we enjoy watching Riker, our grandson. He's our only grandson right now, and so we're both home here to enjoy him. And he loves going out to the garden. He loves strawberries. Marvin, one of the things he does is he's got a berry patch. It's a strawberry patch, and they're wonderful strawberries. And we've got blueberries, which Marvin's been out picking almost every day, because they're really coming on, really a lot of them this year. And we have raspberries and boysenberries, and a nice rhubarb patch.
yeah, going back to the house, we added we re-sided the mobile home and put new windows in, and then we actually let's see now, what did yeah, we put new windows in. We added a room on. Then I re-roofed it with shingles, and then shingles didn't hold up, so we had a metal roof put down. Then we added a sunroom on, and it extended it out a little further. But we got trails going through the woods, and we went through the pets. And the very beginning, we had 2 horses, and then we sold the mother, and then we just had the colt, Sammy, and till she passed away. We had her
32 years.
32 years, yeah. Then, but we had dogs, cats. Cats
Oh,
didn't they didn't live very long. Something always happened to the cats.
went through
And
many cats.
and then the dogs. We went through quite a few dogs.
Yeah.
But we're to the age now. We don't want no more. We let Jay and Kelly have the pets. We're just
Yeah.
no more pets. When we lost Winnie and Pooh Bear, our miniature Dachshunds, that was enough.
It's pretty.
And
And Marvin and I got to go on our first retirement trip. We took 2 months and traveled, and we left on May the 1st of 2013, and we ended our trip on June 27th, 2013, and we had the most wonderful, wonderful 2 months of traveling. We stayed in 25 hotels. We went through 8 national parks. The first national park we went to was the Great Sand Dunes in Colorado. The second national park was the White Sands in New Mexico. The third national park was Mesa Verde out of Cortez, Colorado. The fourth national park was the Arches in Utah. The fifth was the Grand Tetons in Wyoming. Then Yellowstone in Wyoming was the sixth. The seventh was Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. And the eighth one was Glacier Park in Montana. And we had a wonderful, wonderful 2 months. The weather was wonderful. We only had a couple times where we really had a bad rainstorms. But other than that, it was a wonderful 2 months of traveling. Now we're going to be home here for a couple of years before we take another road trip. Because there's a lot to do around here. We've got a lot of catch up to do.
yeah. So yeah, we do. But we went 9,000 miles, almost 9,000 miles. Little car troubles, but nothing held us up over anything like that. Went back to my 50th class reunion in North Dakota, Washburn. Met my old classmates I didn't recognize. They had to have pictures on their tag on our shirt with our picture on it so we could recognize each other. Went through a parade and had actually my brothers passed away, of course, but my sister-in-law had a Johnson reunion back there with her family and us. So that was great. We got to meet all the nephews and nieces and it'd be great nephews and nieces, and that was great back there. Got to see everybody. Went out to the farm where I was raised, and that was kind of sad because it's vacant, just sitting out there now. And but everything was going fine.
We took in and saw the property that Marvin inherited. It's actually 2 pieces of property. One is 60 acres and the other is 40 acres. And the property that's 60 acres, 46 of it is farmed, and the rest of it is it's got actually a canal that goes through it, quite wide. Oh, I'd say about 30 to 40 feet wide, maybe 30 feet deep.
Well, that's real big. It's more like probably it could be 30 feet wide, but it wouldn't be much over that. And the depth would be pushing 20 feet because and it was full of nice clear water,
Yes.
but barely moving. Mosquitoes up all kinds of mosquitoes.
But it's long enough we could have a boat. We could take a boat on it.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of property. So we spent some time there. I took quite a few pictures. But Marvin's right. The mosquitoes were just terrible back there because North Dakota had a lot of rain this year. So that was not good because the fact that it brought in more mosquitoes.
The water wasn't running either. It was pretty still water. It was running water, but it was barely moving. And
But we hopefully will have many more years of doing things together. Marvin had a very severe heart attack in April of 1997. We almost lost him. He had to have open heart surgery. And that was the year that I left the post office. I actually resigned in November 22nd, 1997. Or no, I take that back. I'm sorry. I actually was with the post office till December of 1998. So I got 21 years in at the post office. But
had 20.
we had many good years of working together. We used to ride back and forth together to work. We had different days off, but we were able to take our vacations together at the same time. And we were also fortunate. We worked our way up to where we would get 5 weeks off a year, but we had to work for that. It didn't come right away, and I can't remember how many years we had to work there before we could get 5 weeks off. But our longest time that we took off on a vacation with the kids was 3 weeks. And that one year we went on a long trip down to Arizona. We took in the Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, Zion National Park. We took them to Disneyland. Took them to see Hertz Castle. Anyway, it was a wonderful trip. But the longest trip we ever have taken is this retirement trip of 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, our my grandparents on my mother's side, my grandmother, Esther Danielson, I don't know what her maiden name was actually from Norway, and so, and then my dad, then her Esther, my mother might be my grandfather on my mother's side, Oscar Danielson. He was a musician. He could play different instruments. And on my dad's side, actually they were from Michigan, Wisconsin. My grandmother on my dad's side was born and raised right there out in the farm, Edlin. Yeah, Edlin. And then yeah.
And Marvin, right after we were married, we'd only been married a short while, and he was working at Boeing's at the time, and they had a big layoff in 1970, and he lost his job at Boeing's. He got his pink slip. So we ended up packing up all of our stuff and moving to North Dakota. We thought we were going to be living back there permanently, but before we left, he took the post office exam. And he didn't realize it, but he had gotten a pretty high score on the exam. But anyway, we moved to North Dakota, and we moved back there, I believe it was February of 1970, because it was still winter, and we drove a 1965 Ford Galaxy back with just all-season tires. And my folks were so upset because they didn't want us heading back there in winter, going over the passes. But we were young and foolish, and we made it, but it was tough. Because back then we had to go over a pass called Lookout Pass in Idaho, which was really a bad pass at that time. In the meantime, they have redone the road, and it's a breeze going over it now, but back then it was pretty rough. They had a lot of switchbacks, and it was very high up. And but anyway, we lived back in North Dakota, and I went to work for a farmer back there. And what was his name?
Philip Highcourt.
Philip Icorst. And it was a real wake-up call for me, because on the farm there was no running water. In other words, you had to go after water, and the water was in a well down in a pasture. And if you needed water, you had to take a big cream can, bring it down to the well, pump the water into the cream can, haul it up to the house, dump it into a big pail, put it on top of the gas stove to heat for your water. And I was a city girl, so I was used to taking a shower or a bath every single day. And here I was with no running water, and I wanted to still have, like, a bath or something. So what I had to do was heat this water on top of the gas stove. Then I was given a great big galvanized, big, huge barrel-like thing that you would use for watering a cow or a horse. And that's what I took my baths in his folks' bedroom. I'd heat the water up, and then I'd put it in there and close the door. And I remember even taking a chair and putting the chair under the doorknob so nobody would come into the bedroom, and pulling down the shades, and because I was, wanted my privacy. But that's how I took my baths. But they didn't tell me that the water was hard water. So when I went to take a bath, the soap wouldn't lather. And